it doesn't.
It is with a heavy heart and the utmost sadness that I officially announced my retirement. You know, I've been angry, I've been sad, I've been frustrated, I've been all of that. But today, when I woke up this morning, I felt nothing but gratitude. I have gotten to do what I love for nearly 16 years. I am grateful.
Hard times strike to the core this week on WWEC Radio as we embrace the darkest timeline. Daniel Bryan has retired from professional wrestling. Welcome to the show. I am Tommy Sharp alongside Graham GSM Matthews, and you are listening to the officially unofficial 5-star NXT post-show and SmackDown pre-show. And before we dive in, let's take a moment and share some thoughts on Daniel Bryan's career.
Hashtag thank you, Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, great.
I mean, I thought the retirement itself wasn't too shocking. I mean, I think we talked about this before, but it's been a long time coming. I mean, he went to a number of doctors, as he talked about in his promo on Monday night, and it was right before the Rumble, and you have to listen to, I mean, the promo itself was amazing. Just hearing about the retirement itself was a little bit disappointing. You have to hear the promo that you just played a clip of. Thank you, Tom. It was amazing. And also, what we talked about yesterday, the clip that he was on ESPN for on Tuesday night talking about the seizures that he had, the concussions, the number of concussions he couldn't even pinpoint. And I don't think any real athlete can, but it's just, it's disheartening, not too shocking for anyone that's, followed Daniel Bryan's recovery process over the last 9 or 10 months. But still, like I said, hashtag thank you, Daniel Bryan. I thought it was a great promo on Monday, easily the best promo he's ever cut, but it wasn't really a promo. It was just kind of more along the lines of a fond farewell to the WWE universe, and he will be missed in the WWE fan base.
Yes, missed constantly. I think that Daniel Bryan's mark on wrestling as a business, as a marker of the same type of professionalism that he could carry on and inside and outside of the ring, and just all around him, he is the second man from Aberdeen, Washington that I have looked up to and seen, really great virtue in, and another career cut short due to pursuing things to their fullest with a full heart. And I think that Daniel Bryan, he is the Moonlight Graham of professional wrestling, and if this is the last thing that he does with his career, it would be incredible. But it's far from the last thing that Daniel Bryan's going to accomplish in the world. And nothing but respect for his decisions. It's obviously got to be when you love something and you get to participate in it at the highest level and you get to compete at the highest level, to have to walk away without seeing visibly the reason why. That has got to be the hardest day-to-day look in the mirror, because you can't quantify what the problem is, but there is one, and that you're making the right decision, for your health. And that's the thing. That's the thing that stands out to me the most, is that health wins here. The winner in all of this, and Daniel Bryan having to retire, is that the message sent around the world is that mental health and concussion health is severely important to a man that would probably like to hide that away and still be competing right now. He embraced it and stayed strong for everybody that's had to deal with head injuries, head trauma, concussions of any kind. So I look forward to what this man does next.
I saw some article, I can't remember the exact source, it might have been on Bleacher Report or Forbes or wherever, you guys can look it up and check it out for yourself, that said WWE was ahead of the NFL in terms of like the concussion process and whatever. The whole timing of this, I mean, it just speaks volumes in terms of the movie that came out around December with Will Smith. I have yet to see it. I heard it was great, though. I think he really had no choice. I mean, we've talked about this before, but I feel like before what he said on Monday became public knowledge about him, if he was to wrestle again, not that he would die, but I mean, he wants to have a family. His health is in serious jeopardy with all the stuff that he had suffered over the last couple of years, over the course of his career most specifically. But I feel like before all of this came out, I was thinking to myself, okay, there's a pretty likely chance the longer we go without him being cleared to wrestle, that he will leave the company but continue to compete on the indie scene, whether it be in TNA, that's kind of a long shot, but for Ring of Honor, Lucha, wherever, on the independent scene, Northeast Wrestling, I figured he would wrestle again. But after hearing what he had to say on Monday and the fact that his health is in serious jeopardy, a lot like Edge's was, but in a completely different respect, where it's not like if he takes a bad bump, he could die or anything like that, or be paralyzed for the rest of his life. But it could seriously put his current health status into question, which, like he said on Monday, if he wants to have a family with his wife, Brie Bella, and have kids in the future, I think that's what's more important. I think it might have been Cody Rhodes on WWE's YouTube channel before Raw. He said that whatever makes Daniel Bryan happy, whatever his future holds, I think is most prominent, is most important. I could not agree more. And like you said, Tommy, I absolutely agree. I feel like his legacy, even myself, I've been throwing around the question, what is Daniel Bryan's legacy in WWE? Single-handedly changing the WrestleMania card in 2014, winning every active championship in the company, kind of opening WWE's eyes, turning heads in terms of signing independent talent like Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Prince Devitt, Hideo Itami. The list goes on and on and on. Not only that, but I feel like his legacy is not yet over. As you said, it's only just beginning. And I know before he was not cleared to compete, before all of this came out, that he had turned down roles like for the announcer and to be a trainer or whatever, because he did feel like he could wrestle again. I was looking back on his Twitter last night, and he was like, when is WWE going to clear me? Like when Nakamura and AJ Styles were rumored to be coming over. And he said he was, he questioned, will I wrestle again? I don't know, but I'll be training like I am. Yes, yes, yes. And obviously a lot of that was before he found out that he couldn't wrestle again. So obviously that was before, that was when he turned down those roles, and I feel like now that he has a better understanding of what his future holds in terms in the world of wrestling, I think he can take up a position like a trainer or an agent. I feel like that's a little, like we see guys like Joey Mercury and Dean Malenko, and all due respect to those guys, but I feel like he's on a much higher level. He can contribute to this business a lot more than just that, as you said, as a trainer or something along those lines. Just with all the stuff that he does. I mean, the guy donated his hair. He got a haircut. And he donated the hair to a cancer charity foundation or something along those lines for kids, which is absolutely amazing. That's just the great guy that he is. So I definitely agree. I feel like his legacy is just beginning here in WWE.
Yeah, I think the future for Daniel Bryan being one of the fans' most perennially invested fantasy booking character they could possibly have. If I were to fantasy book Daniel Bryan into the future, I would put him square in NXT. I'd put him as the right-hand man next to William Regal, and have the two of them build an empire, and have Triple H and the Authority on Raw start sniping away and pulling talent away from them at NXT, the heart and soul of professional wrestling today, and to see them talent just immediately get pushed up to the main roster and other talent be held down in NXT. I think it would create a lot of great, interesting tension between the two brands, and certainly put Triple H at odds with his investment in putting those people in those places. So if they're going to continue blurring the lines in their so-called reality era, it would be interesting to see them acknowledge in a way that's similar to how DC Comics on television right now acknowledges other shows on different networks. You have The Flash and Supergirl crossing over in a big Crisis on Infinite Earths type timeline. So I'm very excited about what the future holds. And speaking of future, right now we're going to jump into some NXT post-show recap. There's a lot that went on last night, and a lot of big matches brewing. We have Baron Corbin kicking off the show against Johnny Garagno. Great match to start off, but certainly Baron Corbin still bearing the weight of not being a number one contender. Definitely part of his attitude right now, and he's got a bad attitude all the time. But part of that right now is a sick burn from courtesy of Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe, that he will not be a number one contender. And we'll get to Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe in just a little bit, but little thought here on Baron Corbin and Johnny Wrestling. What do you got?
I absolutely agree. I feel like the evolution of Baron Corbin is what stands out to me more than anything. I mean, the evolution of every character in NXT, and I hate to say, NXT is better than the main roster, and at times it absolutely, definitely, undoubtedly is. But I feel like what I love most about NXT is that everybody has a motive. I have a reason to care about everybody. I was not the highest on Baron Corbin about a year ago, during the summer especially, when he was just squashing people for the sake of squashing people. And that was before he had promos and video packages saying, I'm a football player, I'm not from this realm, I don't care if you boo me or cheer me, I'm here to make money. I am here to win titles. And that's why he's here. That's why he beat up. And that's also why I enjoyed this match. It was a well-wrestled match, but what I liked about it was the fact that Johnny Gargano is the epitome of what indie wrestling is. That kind of that bad stigma. Oh, he's from the independent scene, and Baron Corbin is a WWE made guy. I'm from the NFL.
That independent scene, meaning guys that like technical flair, that like to really not to set up their spots in a way that looks fluid and natural and really gets over with the crowd. And I think Johnny Wrestling absolutely exemplifies those qualities. And then you see Baron Corbin's nastiness come out. He's so stiff with his forearms. He is throwing Gargano into the corner and just giving him corner lariats like he's going to try and take his head off. You know, he's burrowing his knee into the back of Gargano's neck. You know, these are not things you do to somebody you respect in the ring. There's no submission move here. It is specifically to put harm and hurt on Johnny Wrestling. And I really wanted to see more out of Johnny last night. I thought, he had a quick comeback towards the end of that match. He was on the outside apron. He did a nice dive to the midsection right through the ropes, hit Corbin out of nowhere, didn't see it coming. But again, I think the physical endurance, the desire to continue to be a monster in the ring, Baron Corbin hits the end of days, and that was a pretty clean and tidy win for Baron Corbin, much to my dismay. So.
And I think, the anger, he's not just angry for the sake of being angry. He has a motive. He wants, as you said, Tom, he wants that NXT championship. He failed to get it last week when we had the number one contenders match. He fell short in the triple threat match with Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe. And they might have shown it on either on NXT or on the WWE YouTube channel. I feel like it was on NXT last week, or one of these recent weeks. I don't know. Recently, anyway. He said, I demand to be in the NXT Championship conversation. Regal said, there's a lot of controversy stemming from that match, and next week we will see Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe, which I'm very much looking forward to. Should be a classic. First time ever in singles competition. But he did say if there was anything that was decisive about that matchup, it was that you got beat. You tapped out. Baron Corbin, not really much he could do other than unleashing his anger on the perennial indie guys like Johnny Gargano.
Well, and there's, I hate to come to the defense of Baron Corbin ever, but in his own defense, he was put in a situation where Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe both jumped on him, both put on countering submission moves, and the match was then decided following that. Now, I don't know how much pain you could possibly be in from just one of those moves, but from both of those men who are definite submission specialists, I gotta say, I'd be tapping out pretty quick myself. So, just one of those things would put me over the edge. To have to endure two of those things and last a little while before making the decision to fight another day, I can respect that from Baron Corbin, if there's anything to respect in that guy. But clearly Gargano wasn't able to use his speed. Another classic when they talk about indie guys, speed. He's not even nearly as tall as Baron Corbin, and it did get the better of him. But he'll learn, he'll grow, and I expect to see good things from Johnny in the future. So. But yeah, Sami Zayn came out after that match, started reacting a little bit to what's coming up with him and Samoa Joe. And it was interesting to see, it's really Sami Zayn stressing that this is his first in-ring matchup with Samoa Joe that's going to be coming up
ever
as a singles competitor. And to think about the opportunities and the promotions that these two have worked with in the past, and to imagine that hasn't happened yet. It was surprising to me, but here we are, and now this is where NXT shines, because things that have never happened before and have just happened inside your mind now get to play out in front of you. So I'm very much looking forward to what Sami Zayn brings to the ring.
I was surprised about that. I mean, like you said, it's not like, oh, this match happened a million times over. I mean, they don't acknowledge TNA, but They kind of do. They said in AJ Styles' official profile, he wrestled Samoa Joe and Sting in Florida. So, I mean, it technically is kind of there in the universe. They don't actually call it TNA. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Owens and Zayn, I think, is the perfect example of a feud that did happen in Ring of Honor and on the independent scene many times over, many years ago. They acknowledged it when they both got to NXT in late 2014. If Zayn and Samoa Joe had wrestled on the indie scene before, they would have brought it up. You would have said, I wrestled them over in Japan or wherever. And he didn't. And I found that the most surprising as well. I think Samoa Joe, his most prominent quote-unquote indie years, if we're not talking TNA here, were from the early 2000s, before he joined TNA in 2005, 2006. Zayn, I think, was most prominent in Ring of Honor in the late 2000s, like 08 onward. I'm not exactly too familiar with his indie career as El Generico. And that's only a rumor that he's El Generico, by the way. So I'm not exactly sure, but we'll see. But I'm looking forward to the match. It should be good.
Yeah, no, a lot of build-up going into Sami Zayn just being back in general. Mm-hmm. So, very, very good to see him continue towards that belt, because I know that that's something that he should be. He's in the realm of being a contender for that any day, especially when he's healthy. So, but the Vaudevillians last night cut a promo where things started turning a little bit darker. And I'm disappointed to see them take a turn, for the worse. But they've definitely been put through some hard times. They have lost their belts. They have lost a step or two in the crowd's eyes in a way. And I think that kind of attitude is what they're realizing potentially is the type of thing that they see in other people that are becoming more successful or getting to the top, and maybe they want a piece of that too, and they want to step on some necks to get there. And I wish them the best, but I don't know if I like where this is going. What do you feel?
Well, I mean, you said cut a promo. It was just them standing there, and then their mannerisms changed. I mean, they didn't say a single word, but based off, you just evaluated the entire thing, and I couldn't agree more of your interpretation of it. And they did all of that without saying a single word. Now, this is not the first time we've seen this package, I guess you can call it, with them kind of smiling and with their entrance music, and then it kind of tones down and gets a lot darker. We've seen it a few times in the past couple of months, which isn't completely out of the ordinary. Like you said, former NXT Tag Team Champions. I was there when they won the belts back in Brooklyn, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn in mid-August. Great moment. Their reign was very short-lived. And like you said, I feel like right now, in terms of the pecking order in the NXT Tag Team division, which is growing more and more by the week with guys like Enzo and Cass, Dash and Dawson. You have the Hype Bros even. You have Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. All these great growing tag teams in NXT. The Vaudevillains aren't really at the top of the heap, and they need to reevaluate their skills and kind of get back to where they were as former NXT Tag Team Champions, and hopefully we will see that in the near future when they resurface on NXT.
Yeah, speaking of Hype Bros, they were in a match last night, second match of the night versus Corey Hollis and
John Skyler, I believe.
John Skyler.
Yep.
Yeah, that's who it was. It was definitely John Skyler. And man, just right from the beginning, Hype Bros come out, and I didn't know how those two were going to mesh up when this was first going, but I liked it. I liked the idea of these two guys, bringing that much energy out there. And last night, from the moment they hit the ramp, they looked in sync. It was very cool to see. They were a honed Hype Bros, and they focused that the entire match. I mean, you got Zack Ryder, former US and IC champion, and you have Mojo Rawley, this absolute golden retriever of a human being, running around and just literally bumping into everything around him and blowing it up like it's Mario hitting blocks. So it's very, very honed Hype Bros right now, and it was the broski boot from Zack, followed by the Hype Rider. Excuse me, the broski boot followed by the Hype Rider. Just so damn cool. That to end the match, I loved it.
I agree. Their enthusiasm to me is infectious, and it can go either way. Some fans might be turned off by that. Other fans might be ignited by that. I'm definitely in the latter. I have long been a fan of the Z True Long Island story, or the something, whatever his nickname is. The Woo 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 Kid, I guess, is a lot simpler to say. But his YouTube show that he had for many years, which I might be incorrect here. I believe it debuted 5 years ago today. Might be wrong, but it'd be very timely if it was, and I hope I'm right. But otherwise, long been a fan of Zack Ryder, dating back to his days in the Land of Extreme on ECW, the newer ECW. And I feel like, he hit his peak in 2011 with the Ryder Revolution becoming U.S. champion, as you said, and it was kind of all downhill from there. You can blame him, you can blame the creative team, writing, whatever. But whatever it is, he has been kind of in a downward spiral and kind of stayed stagnant for many years in WWE's undercard, the hero of WWE Superstars, the TV show that is. And now, finally teaming with Mojo Rawley.
It's a man who is clearly looking for the next opportunity. When you have won the U.S. Championship, when you have won the Intercontinental Championship, when you have taken those two accomplishments and tried to go after the big title, and that falls short. And he is left wondering, where do I fit in? Now, as a tag team, he's got new life in him, and you could just see it. He is a skip in his step, and he is ready to go do battle. And he is that focus. That Mojo Rawley is just this unleashed energy, right? Zack Ryder comes in and hits you target precisionally, and that's what he's so good at doing, and that's what makes them such a dynamic team. And I would expect to see them in NXT title contendership pretty soon, within the next year, I would hope. If they keep that momentum going, they definitely deserve it.
If they can keep on building this momentum, I absolutely agree. I feel like they do have good chemistry with each other. And Mojo Rawley, a guy who, a lot like Baron Corbin, came from the NFL world and has really honed his skills over the last couple of years. And I love the comparison that he made with Zack Ryder kind of being the person that is putting him in focus, that is allowing him to develop his skills in this tag team, keeping Rawley kind of limited. Ryder is the better worker of the two. Rawley is a work in progress. Ryder, a man rejuvenated, taking a step back, seeing what am I doing today? I was a former U.S. champion. I'm a former tag team champion. I have history. I have experience in that division. I'm using those skills to my advantage to go back, win those NXT Tag Team Championships for the first time. And I believe they mentioned on this show, the commentators did, they suffered their first ever loss. And these guys have been together for quite a while. They're not the new kids on the block. They've been together for many months. They suffered only one loss in standard 2-on-2 tag team action, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago at the hands of the Vaudevillians. So winning this week, kind of getting their momentum back, kind of getting back on the swing of things. So we'll see where this leads, and I believe an NXT Tag Team Championship opportunity might be in the very near future.
Yes, and I would hope to see more from the tag team division, or expect to see more from the tag team division in the lead up to the promotion that they have around WrestleMania. So the interesting thing following the Hype Bros, though, was our first little preview of Bayley and Carmella. They had a big women's title match last night. And it's interesting to see how NXT approaches two superstars that are friends, that behind the scenes and on the WWE Network, you can see them truly having a bond, a real-life bond and relationship. And you can clearly see them as athletes and competitors and competitive people standing next to each other. But there's just so much glowing, smiling respect from the two of them that it almost sickens my stomach. When you have too many cookies. I probably shouldn't do that too often, but that's what it feels like. You just like sugar intake. So
less is more.
So it was an interesting way to build towards that at the end of the night, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But NXT likes to sneak in little morsels here and there as to who these people are, who they are to each other, and I like to see that. Good or bad. Even if they're really chummy and they're really showing more of their relationship, that's fine. I do miss Sasha Banks. She'd really I miss people getting in people's face, and someone that just gets in your face, really likes to haunt your nightmares, is Alexa Bliss, coming out last night with her Freddy Krueger entourage. I just thought that was just phenomenal to see. Her and Blake and Murphy coming out as like some sort of Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger team to take on Cameron. I was very excited for that match. I think Alexa Bliss is one of my favorite workers right now. She is just dynamite every time she's in that ring.
From what you said, it definitely sounds like they are lacking in NXT a strong lead heel in the NXT Women's Division, because Sasha Banks was that character for a long time.
Yes.
And before her, it was Charlotte for a time before she kind of earned the respect of the NXT audience. So we've always had, and Summer Rae before that, so we've always kind of had this lead heel. We've been missing that in NXT for quite a while. Bayley and Carmella, we'll get to that, but two a budding friendship rivalry, if you can really call it that, I guess. We have Bayley, we have Asuka, who is very popular, immensely popular in NXT. Dana Brooke is a work in progress. Emma's kind of already been there. Alexa Bliss can be that character. Nia Jax is also kind of getting there, as is Eva Marie. She's a heat machine, regardless of what you think of her as a wrestler. But Alexa Bliss is getting there. Her in-ring work has improved a lot in the last couple of years. I've long been a fan of hers as well. And Cameron, I've never really cared for her. I thought she had a good showing last night in a decent little match. But Alexa Bliss is the one that really shined. And I think this is the role for Blake and Murphy. We talked about the Vaudevillians. 2 former NXT Tag Team Champions are Blake and Murphy. They've already kind of done it all in NXT, and I don't know how well they would gel with the main roster scene in the tag team division. But I feel like being the backup guys for Alexa Bliss and the chemistry that she has, just an absolutely gorgeous girl, and you throw that in there with the Freddy Krueger-like attire, which is awesome. That gains brownie points for me just for that alone. But I thought the match was decent, but I think more so than anything else was Alexa Bliss showcasing her skills as a future breakout singles star in not only NXT Women's Division in NXT, but kind of going beyond that, hopefully eventually on the main roster. She's been in NXT for many years now. I think she can have a nice little career for herself chasing after the Davis Championship when it comes time to that. When it comes time for that down the line.
Yeah, and Alexa is a person, like you said, surrounded by 2 thugs, 2 real brute guys in Blake and Murphy, and she's out there to really haunt her opponents, to really hunt them, get inside of their minds, and cerebrally, use that fury that she has inside of her to attack and unleash on her opponents. And Cameron just has this absolute elitist attitude that I cannot stand. Every time she walks out, she'll try to walk over to a young person in the crowd and just to turn her back. Just classic I don't care about any of these people here type of mentality, which is so bottom-feeding, low-hanging fruit for Cameron to grab. She's only out there to display one thing, that she has tenure, she has experience, and that alone should carry her to a win over anybody she's out there with. And it got the better of her last night. She came out and dropped the ball, and Alexa, with a gorgeous top rope Sporkle splash for a crushing win on Cameron. I was, again, highly impressed. I still can't tell. It maybe Alexa's getting inside my mind as well, but I don't know where she falls, if she's in it just for herself, but she's not going to, backstab her way to the top, or if Blake and Murphy are going to start playing a larger role in her victories, which I don't think that she needs them to do that. I don't think she needs that at all. But if she's hell-bent on being at the top and she'll do whatever it takes to get there, I might have a different opinion in the future.
Do you think that with the win last night and facing up against and going up against the fellow narcissist in Cameron, that Alexa was trying to endear herself to the NXT universe, or was she just establishing that it's every woman for herself in NXT?
She's the show, and I think she believes that she's the show. And if all eyes are on her, clearly Blake and Murphy's eyes are on her. Mm-hmm. Like, they're elevating her like she is the biggest deal. So she does not need to concern herself with the ego of what people might think of her, whereas Cameron very much does. And that's why I think it's all gray area with, and blurred lines with Alexa Bliss. You don't quite know if she's on your side, but you know that she's got a fury that you can trust. So
I agree.
That's where I'm at with her. And talking about maybe narcissists or people that are a little bit self-absorbed, I'm going to turn my sights on Elias Sampson, and he went up against Jesse Sorensen last night. So what do you think about the Drifter and what he did last night?
What he did last night, all of his matches so far, for me, have felt like they have blended together. I think he's a good worker. He showcased his skills last night. He had a very good outing, but I feel like just the reaction alone, and there's a difference between getting heat, getting booed by the NXT universe, and then getting that reaction like, we don't want you here. Eva Marie, I feel like, has kind of turned a corner with that. She has embraced the boos. Elias Sampson kind of seemed shell-shocked almost in a way, shout out to Ryback, for the reaction that he got, the drift away chants, which I thought were hysterical. And some people might be turned off by that. Why is the universe turning on him, whatever, which I can see that argument, but I feel like, and it's not his fault. It just seems like, and before he debuted a number of months ago, we don't really have a sense of direction for what he wants. Unlike a lot of the characters in NXT, he doesn't really have many motives. He comes out, he has a really good theme song, which I might add, but he comes out to this dark, drifting theme, this brooding theme, and that's about it. He gets in the ring, and he just kind of puts you to sleep, and I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
For me, he's the gritty Double J reboot, and
definitely comes across that way. Yes,
I for all of the Johnny Cash and traveling, musician, mystery surrounding him, and his claim that he actually claims, and this is some kind of broken grammatical quote, "What this place needs is what I am." I guess that they need short matches. They need somebody that's going to come in and squash somebody.
They need a guitar, I guess.
And they need a guitar. And I wasn't too impressed with his neck breaker that he used for his win.
I thought it was a decent finisher. I thought it was a fine way to put away his opponent.
He's got a crazy calm about him, right? But he can be explosive and extremely stiff like Baron Corbin. And he goes for those quick victories, but he doesn't do it in a way that showboats or in a way that, really engages with, the every fan that's looking for a hero. He very much is making a statement that he doesn't want to be in your good graces. Every time he walks out there, he's going to kind of look dead in those eyes. And I don't know, maybe it's him just drifting around too much, and maybe he will just drift away.
Perhaps. Only time will tell. I believe they'll be on future episodes of NXT taped at the UFC arena going forward.
I will say, though, that a credit to the NXT production design. They were not at their home at Full Sail University last night. They were at the University of Central Florida. And I have to say that even outside of their controlled production environment at the Full Sail University, their lighting in NXT, the way that they light their superstars, the half shadow on Elias's face, it was perfect. It was a thing of beauty to see that level of lighting, control, thought, camera capture, camera placement. And if nothing else, the Drifter definitely is put in that light, and it really strikes a chord. If I can use a guitar.
I appreciate Ponce. Yeah. I thought that was good. Well
I'm just going to let that
It was the low point of the show. No, I appreciated it. But no, I agree. I feel like the lighting, the production, WWE's production, like we talked about early on in our first episode last week in our debut, the production of WWE is second to none. It is just absolutely unparalleled, but it kind of translates to NXT as well. At the end of the day, it is a developmental territory. And they are still a work in progress. Sometimes they miss shots. Sometimes they get great shots. But it was definitely evident last night on NXT that despite not being in their comfort zone of Full Sail University, they're not taking a break. They're not letting it go. They're not going to slack off. They're going to put forth a great effort in making this an amazing production. It definitely came across that way for their first show in UFC.
Yeah, and
UCF, sorry, not UFC.
And before we jump into the main event last night, a couple of things about the champ. Talk real quick here about Apollo Crews. He had a couple things to say about his matchup with Balor, which obviously didn't go his way. And I still think Crews is doing some soul searching. Obviously, he's doing some soul searching. He's not yet comfortable in every regard, and he wants to be. You could see him at every angle improving every single set of skills that he can get his hands on. He can wrap his mind around. And he even said last night that, the next time he's in the ring, you will see a new Apollo Crews. I don't know what that means. I don't know what he's going to or planning on bringing to the table and bringing into that ring, but I can better well believe it's going to be explosive, and I think that might be the kind of mentality that he needs to take if he wants to continue being a contender.
Well, that's what you need to continue to do. I feel like that attitude can apply to any sport or any form of entertainment. Basically anybody. You look at the World Series. The Mets came up short in the World Series last year. They fell short of victory. They need to change their game plan going forward, which is what Apollo Crews needs to do and what he plans on doing, what he said he will do last night on NXT. He fell short. He had a great showing against the WWE NXT champion last week on the episode of NXT. But at the end of the day, it's wins and losses that matter. He came up short. And what was the reason behind that? Finn Balor was just 3 seconds better than Cruz last week. He needs to find out what his flaws are, work on them, and get back into that conversation to be considered a top contender to the NXT Championship. And that was not a title match. He needs to work his way back up the ladder after coming up short against Baron Corbin at NXT TakeOver London. He needs to work his way back up the ladder. How he will do that, who he will target next, I have no idea. But that's what I like about it. Like you said, we're not really sure what that means, but that makes me excited to see what he has in store for us going forward.
Yeah, and same with Samoa Joe. Now that Baron Corbin's out of the picture, now that Apollo Crews is out of the picture for the moment, it's a very focused fight between Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, while we have Finn Balor recuperating a little bit and getting ready for what he has ahead of him. Which, Finn Balor, not on his top health. I still pick him every time. But, a fresh, healthy, furious Sami Zayn versus a, dark Samoa Joe coming in, really ready to take hold of what he believes is his. And I think we're going to see an incredible matchup between those two.
Two motivated contenders for the NXT Championship are Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn. Two very, very experienced and accomplished wrestlers in their own right, but neither of them have come this close to winning the gold. Samoa Joe fell short in London. Sami Zayn, a former NXT champion, but on the record books, the shortest NXT champion in history. And they're not going up against, although, like you mentioned, he is injured, this guy is no schmuck. Finn Balor is a very experienced wrestler, not only in NXT, but beyond. A lot like Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe. But no one else can say they are 6-0 at NXT TakeOver. Finn Balor, someone brought that to my attention on Twitter just an hour ago, right before we went on the air. He is undefeated at TakeOver. No one else can say that. And with the NXT Championship in his possession, injured or not, they're going to get ready for a very well-rested Finn Balor come Dallas in just a little under 2 months.
Yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how their health plays a factor, because I know that Balor will find a way to win. He'll win at any cost, and he'll come out with the upper hand. So he takes disadvantages and swallows them whole and lets a demon do the rest of the talking. So I appreciate that. And then kicking into our main event last night, based on the earlier build-up between the two of them, I got to say there wasn't a lot of conflict going into this main event for me. It was going to be interesting to see two competitive people go after an actual prize fight, and see how they would treat each other. Would they hold anything back? Would they, be a little bit more conservative? And I saw nothing but explosive energy from the two of them. I did see some chumminess. I did see some friendship in there as well. And maybe they insulated each other a little bit too much. And you know what? I want to say that their friendship is what cost Carmella the belt last night.
You think so?
She looked explosive. She looked like she was ready to turn. She had 2 great suicide dives outside the ring, something you really don't see from Carmella. She's a little bit taller than Bayley. So, getting through those ropes at that speed and hitting Bayley hard on the outside mat, she did that flawlessly. She got up. You could see the fire in her eyes about how excited she was about the possibility of pulling off this victory. But I don't think in the end, when she looked in her friend's eyes when it was ready to go for the pin, she hesitated. And that's where Bayley ultimately said, you hesitated. I got to take that advantage. And Bayley ended up with the win. So, tough fought match last night.
That could very well be a factor. I looked at that as the chumminess. I translated that as respect. These two girls, although it really hasn't been that well documented on NXT, it's been touched upon, on this episode and in the last couple of weeks, that Bayley and Carmella are two very good friends, collectively known as Baymella on Periscope. I don't really watch that, but from what I've heard, two very good friends. Beyond the ring, they've kind of come up in NXT together. Putting that friendship aside for the most prestigious prize in the NXT Women's Division, the NXT Women's Championship. Having a very good match last night, as you said. I repeat those sentiments, that it was a very good match. Carmella had a great showing in this match, and I've never been the highest on Carmella. I always thought she was a great act, a great addition to the Enzo and Cass tag team, but last night she cemented her status to me as a lot more than just a sideshow for Cass and Enzo. She solidified herself as I want to be taken seriously as a contender to this championship. I'm going to put forth everything I have, everything that I've learned from working with Bayley, and I'm going to use that against her. She didn't exactly cheat, but I feel like she didn't have to. I know, like you said, she had her friendship here and whatnot, and that maybe have cost her had cost her the match here and cost her the championship. But I think at the end of the day, there is still more that she needs to work on. She doesn't have that much experience in singles competition. She just barely beat Emma on last week's episode, but she'll use this defeat as a means to get better. And Bayley is just the ultimate person to beat in NXT. I don't know if she's undefeated. Since winning the championship, I don't think so. I'm not exactly sure. I have to look at that up.
Certainly people that are gunning to beat Bayley for the NXT.
She's got a target on her back.
And Bayley got, after doing a lot of consecutive roll-ups last night between Carmella and Bayley, Bayley got the leverage for the win. But doing all of that, going through, a nearly 15-minute match with Carmella, rolling around at pin after pin after pin and finally getting that win, exhausted. And then what happens? Eva Marie and Nia Jax come out and brutally attack Carmella, and there's just nothing but bad blood between them all.
Sour grapes.
Yeah. No, there's some serious sour grapes. And Eva Marie and Nia Jax eat sour grapes all day long, it seems, because they have nothing but discontent for anybody that is cheered, revered, or held in a high regard. They come out as bullies. They come out to attack people. They come out to demean people. And they probably couldn't. They are the two people that probably couldn't be more sick of the love fest that was just in the ring between Carmella and Bayley. I feel like just that alone probably set them off in a way that was just maddening to them, and they had to come out and just attack Carmella because they know that they probably would be bested by Bayley again and look like a bunch of fools again. So why not go after someone you perceive to be weaker than you, someone that just got beat, someone that's clearly defenseless right then and there. And I think Carmella could stand her own against both of them, maybe not Nia Jax, but she, at her healthiest, she could certainly do that. Bayley certainly wiped out. But then who comes out to the ring? Asuka, my favorite, my absolute favorite wrestler right now today. I will say that to anybody. I will defend that all day long. Asuka is the best professional wrestler around in WWE right now for me. And, Asuka came out, and what happened? Nia Jax, Eva Marie, tucked tail, quietly, calmly walked out of the ring, walked backstage, leaving. You have Bayley in the ring with her belt. You have Asuka in the ring. And the two of them finally meet eye to eye. And I've been waiting so long to see that.
The build to this confrontation has been so well done. And kind of backtracking here to address what you said earlier between Eva and Nia Jax. I've never been the biggest fan of either woman. I think their motives are very clear of what they want. On paper, two huge polar opposites. Eva Marie, the perennial diva. What WWE wants in their women's wrestlers. Hot looking, whatever, just what they want as the face of their company, the face of the Divas division, the face of the NXT Women's Championship division.
Same way they want Randy Orton to be the...
Or Roman Reigns.
Or Roman Reigns to be the eternal pretty boy, chiseled sculpture of a human being champion. That's what they project that they want. So
exactly. And then Nia Jax, the polar opposite. She's huge, but she's monstrous. She's dominant. But one thing they share in common is that lust for the NXT Women's Championship, and specifically to take that title from Bayley. It doesn't matter who has it, whether it's Eva or Nia. They just want to take that championship from Bayley. Asuka, who's had an issue with Eva Marie and Nia Jax over the last couple of weeks. Remember, going back to the NXT Championship women's title #1 contenders battle royal, it was Eva Marie who tossed Asuka from that battle royal. So there are some loose ends that have yet to be tied up there. Some ruthless or bad blood, I think is the word I'm looking for, between Asuka and Eva Marie. And even NXT TakeOver London a little over 2 months ago at this point. Nia Jax coming off her victory. It might have been beforehand. I think it was beforehand. Asuka locked eyes with Nia Jax before she went after the NXT Women's Championship that night against Bayley. So she has that history there, so it made sense for her to come to the aid of Bayley. And then once they tuck-tailed, as you said, and left the ring, kind of leaving Bayley and Asuka for themselves, looking down the aisle, looking at Eva and Nia Jax, walk back up the ramp, ensuring that they're not going to come back in the ring and attack them. Asuka shifts her sights to Bayley, but specifically the NXT Women's Championship. And probably the best part about this, and I couldn't agree more, Asuka is just phenomenal. Like, I know AJ Styles is a phenomenal one. She is equally phenomenal for the NXT Women's Division. Not only looking at Bayley, giving her signature smirk, giving that to Bayley, but also brushing the NXT Women's Championship with the back of her hand, saying, I want that. I want that title, and it will be mine sooner rather than later, hopefully, at NXT TakeOver Dallas.
Asuka does not have to use coercion to get a match for the title. She doesn't have to use coercion or heel tactics to beat on anybody or cheat her way to that. She is ready to go anytime. And if you want to compete and prove you're the best champ, Bayley, then you should absolutely be interested in what Asuka has to say. So, going into next week, very excited. Hopefully we'll see some new developments there. And then coming up tonight, we have an awesome show. I am very much looking forward to SmackDown, my number one show on broadcast television anyway. Number one show right now, after coming out of Raw this week, where Jericho was talking on Miz TV and then hijacked Miz TV and turned it into the highlight reel and nobody noticed. Jericho versus AJ Styles tonight. Second matchup for these guys. What are your thoughts? Who do you got?
Woke up today. Today is Thursday. I'm thinking I got one class today, but even better, SmackDown's on tonight. Even better, AJ Styles and Chris Jericho is happening on Thursday night on the USA Network, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. And a smile immediately went across my face. This is a rematch rather, that I've been looking forward to since the night after the Royal Rumble, a little over 2 weeks ago, just about 3 weeks by this point. This feud has been building for weeks, and I feel like it's been so well done. Coming off the segment on Monday's Raw where the Miz TV turned into the highlight reel, which I thought was great, the little interaction between Miz and Jericho. Even the match last week, we talked last week here on WWEC Radio about how, about how the Miz has really solidified himself as a threat, as a force to be reckoned with, kind of re-solidifying himself as a threat. And that really showed last week in his great outing with AJ Styles. Might I say, probably Styles' best match to date in WWE. Very good match, besting Miz in the one-on-one affair, knocking out his teeth legitimately right down his throat as well. It was hilarious, but a great realistic tone. And those three kind of interacted on Monday's Raw. Jericho and Styles, after disposing of Miz, locking eyes, setting the stage for their SmackDown encounter. And tonight, it all comes down to this. Styles, Jericho, one-on-one, advertised 1 week out, which I feel like is the best part about all of this.
Yeah, I think it just frustrates Jericho to no end that there's a person that can just walk in and immediately threaten people that have tenure, people that have established themselves, to the point where you have someone like The Miz coming out and needing to confront AJ Styles on multiple occasions. You have someone like Jericho who is now frustrated to the point where he needs to know that he needs to either walk away from this contest with AJ Styles or at least go down the middle and make it even and prove to himself that he can still best someone that is as good as AJ Styles. So, they're saying very positive things about AJ without saying anything at all. They're not afraid of AJ, but they should be. They certainly should be, because he is taking no prisoners, as he is just stomping through opponents and coming out and doing it respectfully, doing it from the heart, and putting in every single bit of effort that he needs to get a win over someone like Chris Jericho.
AJ Styles, to me, to put this into perspective for fans, or really not fans, but people who might not be aware of wrestling or whatever, you come to Endicott, you work here as a teacher, and although you've had experience at other colleges, you've had a lot of experience under your belt, but you come here and you act like you're the best in the world. It's not exactly going to work out that way to Chris Jericho, who AJ Styles, despite all of his experience all over the world in TNA, Ring of Honor, Japan, he is rightfully known as the Phenomenal One. But according to Jericho, he has not made it to the big leagues yet, kid. He is just a rookie in his eyes, and in Jericho's eyes, in the eyes of everyone else in the WWE universe. Now, that's up to interpretation.
And it's a tough play that Jericho's going on, because if he's saying to the locker room, guys, this guy's a rookie, I'm going to take him out and I'm going to show him the ropes. I did it with Fandango. I've done it with other people. Like, I've certainly earned my place in the WWE here, so let me take him out. I'm going to confront him. And then he gets the better of Jericho. That's a fluke. In Jericho's mind, hey, you know what, kid, you came out hot. You got a lot of energy. You got a lot of support. I'll give you that, but you got to beat me twice, right? And now if he beats him twice, if Jericho goes down twice, the message that gets sent to the locker room is, oops, not a rookie. Beat me twice. Probably coming after you next.
And I'm here to stay.
Right?
That's the message that AJ is sending with this matchup.
This is not some fluke appearance of a person that's making their debut, and we'll see them again on NXT, and they're gonna go and compete in a different league. No, this man is here, and whether you look at NXT as a developmental league, or you look at it as it's the premier league that it is, there's no reason for AJ to go anywhere. Wherever he is, that's where the show is. So I'm going to follow him no matter where he's at. But if he's on the main show and they say Raw is the main show and the place to be, I say SmackDown is even better.
And the thing with AJ, there's two sides to every story. Like you said, he's trying to prove himself. If he can beat Jericho twice in a row, it proves that his first victory over Y2J wasn't a fluke. But at the same time, who was it that challenged who in the first place? It was Jericho who challenged AJ. At the same time, it's Jericho trying to prove something to AJ that he still has a lot left in the tank. He is not just some guy coming back making dad jokes every week, fruity tooty booty. He's not that guy. When the bell rings, he is all game.
I mean, Chris Jericho had the match of the year, in my opinion, in 2015 at Beast in the East. Him versus Neville. Go back and watch it. It is a work of art. Between the two of them, I was just jaw-dropped the entire time. That's what Chris Jericho has in the tank every day. He wakes up, he does his DDP yoga, he goes about his life. It's the best. Or he has his own yoga that he does now, right?
Does he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has his own form of yoga that he's brought together out of all the influence.
Well, I know he does a lot of DDP yoga. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, everyone should. I do it myself.
Yeah, it is pretty great. I've done it myself too. It's great. Cheap plug for DDP yoga.
Yes. Always time for a plug for DDP yoga.
Of course.
So going into tonight, I'm very much looking forward to Mauro Ranallo calling the match.
As always.
The best call team anywhere today is going to be on SmackDown tonight, calling one of the best matches I never thought I'd get to see. So on the one hand, in NXT, we have Samoa Joe and we have Sami Zayn to look forward to. Tonight, without any delay, we have Chris Jericho and we have AJ Styles to look forward to. So I'm excited. Any other closing thoughts for today going into SmackDown?
Well, basically, SmackDown all about AJ Styles and Chris Jericho Part 2. I mean, there's plenty of other things to look forward to. Hopefully, we will get some aftermath from Raw. The entire landscape of the WWE has changed. Daniel Bryan is retired. How will that affect the Blue brand? We'll see tonight on SmackDown. How will the Dudley Boyz respond to their actions on Monday's Raw when they attack the Usos? What's next for them? Are they gunning for the tag team titles? What's next for the women's division? Charlotte and Brie Bella are going at it. They're going to be meeting at Fastlane for the Divas Championship next week. We'll be looking at Fastlane 3 days ahead of the pay-per-view. Also, what's up next with Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Tamina, Naomi? How is that relationship doing? Is Sasha and Becky on the same page? Can they coexist? Going into the pay-per-view, will they team up against the two former Team Bad members, Naomi and Tamina? It's SmackDown. A lot on tap here tonight. I'm looking forward to it.
I would expect to see Kevin Owens tonight come out and really call out Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler and Kevin Owens had an explosive match on Raw, but Ziggler used the ropes as leverage for his pin and got the win over Kevin Owens. I love seeing Kevin Owens get frustrated, for sure, but I don't know if that's going to be such a good move for Dolph Ziggler in the long run, because Kevin Owens not exactly known to, play fair.
Almost career suicide. You can look at it that way. I mean, we'll see. I mean, Kevin Owens came up short against Dolph Ziggler last week, lost to Kalisto on SmackDown thanks to Dolph Ziggler, and also fell short of victory again to Dolph Ziggler on Raw. That's 3 consecutive losses right there. Kevin Owens, I feel like, is more entertaining when he loses than when he wins. I don't want to see him lose all the time, but I think I look at Kevin Owens, I see a desperate man. WrestleMania is right around the corner. Every man is trying to prove themselves as being worthy of being on the WrestleMania card on the grandest stage of them all. Owens can't afford to lose 3 matches in a row. He needs to bounce back, and tonight might be the opportunity. SmackDown might be the platform for him to bounce back and prove himself as the worthy person that he is, that I know he can be as a former NXT champion, a former Intercontinental Champion, the man who beat John Cena clean 1-2-3 in the middle of the ring in his debut match in WWE. SmackDown might be the night. Tonight might be the night that Kevin Owens can rejuvenate himself and take a new career path as he guns for WrestleMania in just 52 days.
Yes. No, this is going to be a big mistake on the part of Dolph Ziggler going into tonight, and you can expect to see Kevin Owens furious. So without much more delay, I'm looking forward to tonight. Graham, it's been a pleasure as always.
As always, man, it's been great. I mean, the second episode of WWEC Radio right here. Every Thursday, new episodes are uploaded. nextairwrestling.net. Be sure to check it out for your unofficial, official, unofficial, whatever way you want to put it, NXT recap, SmackDown review, Raw preview, and also next week we're looking at WWE Fastlane, which I'm very much looking forward to, shaping up to be a great show as well. So a lot happening in the world of wrestling right now.
Everyone out there, look out for foreign objects. This is the Mountain Goats. We're out.
In the spotlight, sweating real hard. All soaked in blood, like a newborn babe. Sharp thing hidden in my hand, shaped like an astrolabe. Gonna stick you in the eye with a foreign object. Gonna poke you in the eye with a foreign object. Poses, keep my weapon hand low, whip my head